demonstration is to show you how to make a simple stretch bracelet using a glass strand and clear stretch cord. So as you can see, I'm starting off with the stretch cord. This is a spool of 0.8 millimeter, which is nice because it has a pretty good size to it. It's easy to knot and to work with. And here's my glass strand. And this is really wonderful to work with because it's already designer coordinated so that you can see I've got focal beads as well as really beautiful glass spacer beads going in between. And this makes a nice pattern, which you can see repeating as it goes down the length. So to start off making the bracelet, what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure to see exactly how much strand I have to work with here. And this one is a really great length because I can see I've got over 7.5 inches. And 7.5 inches is about the minimum that you're going to require to make just an average bracelet length. And here you can see I'm going all the way up to just about 8.5 inches is what I have. So to make about a 7.5 is actually going to break this pattern up. So here's where you can decide if you want to have a nice endless looking design like this where you don't really see a beginning or an end, just the pattern repeats perfectly. You'll want to bring this over. Actually, I'll kind of twist it here so you can see how the design is forming. So I don't want to have a focal bead right next to a focal bead like that. So what I'll actually end up doing is removing the last few beads here so that I have a pattern of large and small without having two of the same beads next to each other. And since this is on a stretchy cord, which is pretty forgiving, I still think it'll make a comfortable design. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this cord off here. It might be tempting to use the cord that these are strung on, but really this is just a temporary stringing material. I would never recommend to actually make a jewelry piece out of this because it's not elastic. It'll actually turn brittle after a while, and it's not intended for bracelet wear, which involves a lot of movement. So here you can see I'm going to lay this out again and kind of find how my design is going. So I'm going to go for, I don't want to cut right at 7.5 because you see what will happen? I have the small beads at each end, which is not going to look nice whenever I pull it into a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these other small beads. And I've got just under 7 inches, which is still nice for a petite size wrist. I'm going to use this just to lift it out of the way for a moment and show you a little bit more about the stretch cord. So this stretch cord, like I said before, is really nice and easy to work with. As you can see, it's fairly firm, so you don't need a needle or anything to thread onto it. You can just thread right onto the end here. And yet at the same time, it's not so fine that I can't see what I'm doing. It's really nice. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out about 10 inches. When you're working with the cord, you always want to give yourself extra room for tying knots. So even though I'm not making a 10-inch bracelet, that's going to give me a couple extra inches at the end. So when I'm tying a knot, I'm not working with the tiny little ends like this. I'll have plenty of room to stretch and pull. So here I've got my cord cut. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and start threading on the pattern, and I can just slide these off. And here I'm just carefully holding it so that my beads don't slide off the other end, but some people might choose to either put a little clip or tape the end of their elastic cord down so that way you don't accidentally pull this up and have your beads fall off the other side. So this is a simple process of threading. Anyone could do this, really. So here you see I have all of the beads threaded on, and I still have plenty of room left at either end to tie a knot. So I've got about 1.5 inches or so on each end. I'm going to begin just tying a simple overhand knot, but that isn't going to be enough in this case. What you're going to want to do is a double overhand knot at least. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this again. And with the stretchy cord, what you want to do, you see I've got it in a circular shape right here with no large gaps. And that's important because if you start off with a gap, you're not going to get rid of it. And what you want to do is just gently but firmly keep pulling this tighter and tighter, because what will happen is the stretchy cord will make that knot smaller and smaller as I go. So you can keep going for a little while here. Okay, just gently though, you don't want to break the cord. So here you can see I've got my knot in there. And actually I'm going to do one more little tie on the back. And another way to secure the knot would also be to either use a little dot of clear drying craft glue or a little dot of clear nail polish, and just set it right on the knot there, let it dry, and then trim the excess. And all you need to trim this is just a pair of scissors. This is soft cord to cut through, so don't cut right at the knot, just a little bit above, so you want a tiny bit of tail. And believe me, it's going to be invisible to anyone else. So you see it's finished there, but since I have a large bead right next to it, I can actually just kind of pull that knot gently inside of there so it completely disappears. And the great thing about stretchy bracelets, of course, is that they're very easy to get on and off. They're very comfortable to wear. There's no clasp to fumble with. And this is a great project really for any beginner. There you go.